Hello artists! So today we are going to be making clay bowls using a slab or clay pancake. Let's get started! So here there are some things I'm going to be getting today. Some things I'm going to be getting is I'm going to get a clay mat here. This is my clay mat. This helps with cleanup so that I don't have a super big mess to clean up. Then I'm going to be getting a couple measuring sticks here. Let's see if we can make the camera a little better. There we go. That's so much better. Okay, so I have my measuring sticks here. This is going to help me so that my clay does not get too thick or too thin. And then I have my rolling pin here. And I'm going to need a container that I'll grab up from the front. And I will get to choose kind of the shape of my container. And then I will also be getting some texture plates to make fun textures in my bowl. All right. So the first thing I'm going to need to do is the slab that I'm going to get from Ms. Dusick is going to be a little thick. It's going to be square looking and it's going to be kind of thick. The first thing that I need to do is thin it out. The one that I'm going to get will be too thick to do anything with. So I need to make a nice pancake. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use my measuring sticks here so that this helps with my getting rolled out to the correct thickness or thinness. And I'm just going to roll with my hands back and forth with my rolling pin. Notice I am not rolling back and forth like really easy and gentle. You need some muscles. You need strength for this. You need to push those air bubbles out. You need to flatten this thing to a nice fluffy pancake. We're talking cream of the crop pancake here. All right. I might need to stand up for this too. So I've been rolling it out. I've been trying my best to keep it as a square or circle-ish shape here, trying to make it not too much like a rectangle. So that means that I might need to pick it up every once in a while and like turn it as I turn the camera and like move it everywhere. Ha ha ha. There we go. And again, I'm going to be putting my measuring sticks back. As it gets really big, you'll notice that it might get wider than your measuring sticks, and that's okay. Just try to keep one side of your rolling pin on a measuring stick. This makes sure it doesn't get too thin. And I'm going to be pushing out with all my might here. All my might. All my strength. That way, all the bubbles get out. When bubbles get into the kiln, that's not a very good thing. When air bubbles get into the kiln, what happens is the air bubbles need to get out some way because the kiln gets super hot. It's a giant oven and it gets really, really hot. It gets hotter than your oven at home. And air bubbles have to come out some way. So what ends up happening is if there's air bubbles left inside, they pop out. They kind of, and they break apart your clay project in the kiln. So you want to make sure you're using some strength for this. All right, I'm going to pause the video here real fast so that I can get my slab all the way rolled out. All right, so now I have this all rolled out how I want it to be. I've noticed that as it does get bigger, it will crack a little bit about the edges. Don't worry, we're going to cut those off. And now my next step, once I've made sure that it's not too thick and not too thin, I'm going to pop it up here and kind of show you here. Look, it's a little thinner than my pinky finger, or it's about as thin as my pinky finger here. If I really want to check it here, but my sticks here should kind of tell me how thick it is. Like it's about as thick as my sticks here. If it's too thick, like if it's way thicker than my pinky finger, then I might need to thin it out some more and roll it out some more. All right, so now once I have this step, I need to decide what shape my bowl is going to be. Is it going to be a circular shape? Is it going to be a rectangle shape? A square shape? That kind of depends on the mold that I have. I'm not going to cut it to the size of this though. I'm going to cut it first. I need to make sure it's bigger. So this is about, this is how this looks against this. Now I need to make sure that this stays pretty big. Otherwise this isn't going to work. I can use some of these tools in here. I'm just going to grab one that I feel like I can cut with. So some of these have butter knives in them. Some of these have these really thin plastic tools that might work. Some of these wooden ones would work. Anything with a flat edge on it is going to work to cut this. Like I said, there's a couple butter knives in here maybe. So grab something that you feel comfortable with. I'm going to grab this green one here with this edge on the side. And I think I'm going to cut mine in a squarish shape that's kind of round. And maybe it's more free flowing. What I want to do though when I'm cutting this is I notice I have cracks on the side. I want to get those off. I do not want cracks in my actual bowl when it's like fired and in the kiln and all that. So I am going to get rid of them. And actually, I guess I've decided here that I'm doing a free flowy bowl here. I'm going to do a free form bowl. It's going to have wavy, edgy, interesting sides. It's whatever I decide. I'm going to get all these cracks off. And ta-da. All right. Now that I have that, I'm going to put all my clay scraps in a pile here and put them off to the side. I'll be turning those in and giving them back at the end. All right. I'm done with that. Now what I need to do is I'm going to, if I see a bunch of cracks like left over on the sides here, then I'm just going to take my finger and just like smooth them in. I'm just going to smooth them around. Make sure that they're kind of all smoothed in. I don't want really that many cracks in here. So I'm just going to take my finger here and smooth it around. All right. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do a texture. And how I'm going to do that is I'm going to pick out a texture that I like. I like these two. And what I'm going to do here is I am going to just place them on my clay slab here, and I'm going to push them in with the rolling pin. I don't want to push too hard on this, but I do want to push hard enough to get my texture. And I'm going to do kind of a funky thing through here where it's part of one texture and part of another texture. Maybe try to do a fun pattern here. Let's switch it up. Let's put this one in right here. And I'm just going to push it in with my rolling pin, and then I can pull it up. It's okay if some dried clay gets on it. That doesn't matter. All right, I'm going to pause the video while I get the rest of my textures put in. All right, now I have my textures put on, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take my container here, and I need to decide which way my textures are going to be. If my textures are going to be on the inside of my bowl so that when I look down I can see it, then I'm going to put my textures on the inside. Like I'm going to put the textures towards the container. If I want them on the outside, then I'm going to leave the textures facing up towards me. What I'm going to do is just pick up my pancake. I want my textures away from me. I want them to be in the inside of the bowl, so I'm going to flip it over so my textures are hidden from me. And I'm now going to put it about in the middle and just lower it down nice and slow on top of my container. This is going to mold my clay to the shape I want it. It's going to stay here until it dries. I do not want to push. I do not want to push down. The clay will get stuck. But I do want it to drape, and I can kind of shape it gently, so I'm not pushing it down. I don't want it to get stuck on there, and I don't want to make a hole, and I'm gently going to kind of move it to the shape I want it. So if I want it to be kind of like free flowy this way, then I might shape it in this way. I'm seeing a couple cracks here, so I'm going to go ahead and rub my finger right over them and get those taken care of so they don't crack some more. I'm going to make sure that there's not really any cracks here on the bottom. And once I'm done with this, then I'm going to take it up to Miss Jusick so she can get my name on the bottom. Happy creating!